Hi, with all the things going on right now with Tesla, their sales are going down in EU, unsold Cybertrucks are waiting in most parking lots, let's revisit the Cybertruck's controversial launch. If you objectively look at it, it's actually a bad product. There's so many issues about it I had to make a list. Let's start with the question, would you accept to drive a Cybertruck free for a year? There's no tricks. Assume that your only other option is a 15-year-old low-budget second-hand car. Would you accept to drive a Cybertruck for free? Well, I wouldn't, mainly because of all the safety issues. So here this list of problems and then tell me your answer in the comments below. First, the looks. I don't actually have an issue with how it looks. It's an interesting car, obviously. Yes, it looks like a garbage bin and a fridge, but I wouldn't decline the offer to drive a free one just because of how it looks. Still, I don't think it fits a 9 to 5 job, like with everyday casual use. The car stands out too much. It looks like it would fit well in a different planet, not here in Earth. It looks out of place, especially the front view. It looks kinda ugly, and that windscreen wiper, that's a whole nother story. So I'm neutral about the looks. I would accept it for free. Definitely wouldn't pay for this. The main issue with Cybertruck is the safety, obviously. In a car crash, car's parts should crumple, parts should be flexible. In the Cybertruck, they are very stiff, they are very strong, and in the crash, they don't break. What breaks is you, your body. Most of the crash force would be transferred to you. So yeah, that's basically my red flag. I wouldn't get into this car. Second safety issue is the pedestrians. If you hit someone, they definitely have a life risk. Car has very sharp corners, and it's definitely a strong material. It would be like as if you were hitting someone with a big truck. Those sharp corners also have effects on you. You can definitely get hurt while just trying to open a door or just walking around your car.
Oh my god.
Definitely bad if you have other children with you. When it first launched, it had this issue with its frunk. It would not stop closing even if you were in the way. So that's basically another huge red flag. They said that they fixed it with a software update, but some people found out that they made it worse. So now the first time you try to close it, it eases the motion. It stops when it hits something, but the second or the third time you try it, it starts forcing its way. Definitely tries to close no matter what, so don't try to close it multiple times. It also has this glare issue when the sun hits your car. That's definitely another safety issue for other cars. Because of this sharp corners and other safety issues, it is legally not road safe in the EU or UK. I saw some other YouTubers made some adjustments to their cars to make it road safe, but definitely not a good look when the car isn't approved by the EU. So I'm not a truck guy, I wouldn't buy this for the trucking purposes. So in a big vehicle, I would understand that it might not have a big rear view mirror or a great rear visibility, but Cybertruck is advertised as a everyday vehicle, and most other American trucks have a usable rear view mirror. Cybertruck has a very cheap one. Basically, you wouldn't want to use that anyway, and it's also unusable when you cover up the trunk because it blocks your rear window. So you have to look down to your middle screen. There you can see your rear camera, and it's also not that well covered. You would get mud on it, rain on it. It's basically again unusable in rainy weather. Another frustrating thing is you don't have a cluster gauge, you don't have an heads-up display. To just see your speed, you have to look down to your middle screen. We immediately need a safety regulation about this. They shouldn't be doing this. It's very distracting, it's very unsafe for road usage, and when the screen breaks, that's another issue. You will lose most of your functionality. The car is so much software dependent, and it's recalled 6 times, by the way, in the last year. Is it even a car at this point? It's like a toy that breaks every 2 months, and the build quality is not there too. You have big panel gaps, you have parts falling off. Most parts are just glued together. Some cars manufactured with missing parts.
Truck was just delivered without this trim panel.
There's lots of creaking sounds in the interior. There's basically cheap plastic everywhere.
Die ist dann auch hier nur, der fällt auseinander.
You might think that it's not a big issue for you, but there was this another safety issue where the gas pedal was just glued in place, and the glue would just break in a month and the pedal cover just would slide up. If you were driving the car at the moment, it can get into this gap just in front of it, and you would just have your car 100% throttled at all the time. Fortunately, your brakes would still work, so you can just brake all the way down. But yeah, that's just another big safety issue that they didn't thought about. Some of the suggestions were just screwing down that part to your car. Let's talk about the steering wheel. This might be a personal issue, but I don't like it being a rectangle. Like, should we call it a steering rectangle? In daily usage, I drive my car with making lots of circle hand movements. I would probably get used to it, but it's just not that intuitive. I don't know if it'd be practical, and they actually designed it that way too. You don't even have to turn around all the way. It has a dynamic steering ratio. In low speeds, your car turns more. In higher speeds, it just adjusts a little bit slower. I would prefer knowing what the steering ratio is exactly at all the time. I like being in control when driving the car. Just doesn't sit well with me. But yeah, that might be a me issue. But this is a everyone issue. The lack of turn signals talk. There's just these two buttons on the steering wheel that you have to press. And you can confuse which way it is when you're turning. You might not confuse it. I don't know, maybe you're just very capable of everything. But do you really think we should give the steering wheels to everyone in the road? Like, there's already half of people don't know what a turn signal is. Should we also confuse them a little bit further? It's just such an easy move. When you're turning the car, you're just hitting the stalk the way you're turning the steering wheel. We don't need to change that. It is already very practical. There's also no other buttons for climate controls or heated seats or your fog lights or any other lights. You just have a long beam button. My problem is that you have to look down while you are driving. There's already lots of car crashes every day. We have to make everything safer. This is a $100,000 car. You're not going to save $1 by just not putting buttons in it. Here's another everyday problem about Cybertruck: the rust and the fingerprints on these steel panels. So the panels themselves are stainless steel, but any dust, any other particles from the air sticking on the panels are going to start rusting immediately. So after rain, after driving, Tesla suggests that you should clean your car. Most people just prefer wrapping up their car to a different material. But those fingerprints are a nightmare because you have to touch your car anyway. There's no door handles. There's buttons in the pillars of the car. And after pushing that, you have to manually open up your door by holding it. I also find this unnecessary too. When in an emergency or a friend of yours just trying to get into your car, should they struggle this much with opening the doors? Like, every other car is opening with a different button these days. If you really need to lower the air resistance, maybe use the handles from the new Audi cars. They are just gaps that you can stick your hand in. I would definitely prefer that to a button that I don't know where it is. Also, it just makes a dedicated pulling spot. Also, when shutting the door, you're just going to leave fingerprints anyway. Like I said, I never use the truck. I'm not going to use one probably, but I would assume that it needs to have some trunk space, a big trunk space. There's lots of complaints about this too. The trunk is not that big. You can't even fit a bicycle in it. You also don't have a spare tire. You have to put that in your trunk. Also, they sell a extra battery pack. You have to also put that in your trunk, so that further lowers your space. Also, there's this low quality tent. It was supposed to be better, but it is not. I'm basically over my personal reasons now. I'm just going to keep listing some other stuff just for the entertainment. So Elon Musk announced it as a cheap truck from the price of $40,000. Then its release price was near $100,000. Then now a year passed and no one's buying these trucks. Basically, you can find these once again from the price of $60,000. Yeah, this basically shows it's just a big flop, because also there's lots of unsold Cybertrucks. There was production delays too. It was announced at 2019 with a 2021 delivery, but they just started delivering at 23 to just a couple of people. Then they ramped up the production, but just people waited too much to get their Cybertrucks. They overpromised in range. Announcement was 800 kilometers. They advertised around 500 kilometers, and the real world range is around 450 kilometers. Yeah, it's an EV, it's a heavy truck, and the range discussion is not the topic of this video. It's just that they overpromised it. Also said it was going to be bulletproof, but it's not. Like, it's stronger than a regular car, but it's not like it's an armed car. Also, towing capacity was overpromised. Apparently it can brake on a vertical tow load, so it's not the strongest truck of all times. Another controversy is the Porsche video. They basically made a shorter race, but at the end of the ad they showed it like it was a longer race results, and the Cybertruck wouldn't win in those conditions. Another controversy is some people paid for full self-driving. They didn't get their cars with it. They've been told to wait for an update. Also, the people who purchased it in the first year could not sell their cars for another year, or they would be blacklisted by the Tesla. The car also lacks proximity sensors, any other sensors, just has cameras, which is, in my opinion, is not enough for a full self-driving car. Because why just not give it more information? We have all these AIs these days. The more information there is, the better the driving is going to be, the more accurate it's going to be. And it actually shows. People are crashing their cars when reversing because they don't know how far they are away from the other objects. You can't just fully rely on cameras. There's lots of illusions even us humans have. So we need lidars, we need proximity sensors, we need other stuff, also cameras too, obviously. But yeah, don't just cheap out on your biggest selling point. Another design flaw is in the snowy conditions, the snow can build up in front of the headlights, blocking the lights, also blocking your ability to see the road. The windscreen wiper stays at a vertical position, but that causes water to flow up after you wipe your windscreen. If it would stay horizontal, it would block the water. One last design flaw I noted is the charging port cover has no physical lock on it, so it just flaps and vibrates while you are driving your car because of the wind. Well, that would annoy me too. So with all these things said, would you accept a hypothetical free Cybertruck? It's been nice to revisit this topic. 1 year ago this was a huge controversy, I guess it still is. But we need to talk about these things because a brand can make mistakes, but how many car brands we have? Like, there's a limit to the collective power of the humanity. There's not going to be more than like 100 car brands at the same time. And one of the biggest car brands in the means of money making mistakes, I think it hurts our future more than we think about it, because we should be innovating. Like, I would like to see better cars in my lifetime, please. So don't keep making mistakes, please. Yeah, if you liked it, please subscribe, and thank you for listening.